Hello, this is OverlordBou, and we're back with SAT score. And today we are going to be looking at the new Twilight Hunt ships. So the Twilight Hunt is going to be a new mode that comes out in 10.9. It is going to be a PvP slash PvE mode. It's going to pretty much be on the exact same map as the last event that was in the last Halloween, where you got to go around and try to get your points by killing monsters or by killing players. But this time you're able to play as monsters as well as ships. So we're going to be going over today which ships we would recommend. We do know that there is going to be gates on getting certain ships or monsters. So we're pretty much just going to be just understanding that and just bearing with on understanding that you kind of have to push through the bad to get to the good pretty much. So I'll let SAT score start us off.
All right. So there are a total of 9 ships for Twilight Hunt. Most of these ships do come from the old Big Hunt mode, if those for those who are familiar from last year's event. The the different thing about these set of ships is that we can play as the monster ships. So Fangblade, Thornridge, and Lobster Eyes were previously monster ships in the Big Hunt mode. They are now playable with a little bit of differences, of course. So we have 5 returning. Otherwise, we have 6 returning prop human ships, I guess. So we'll start with the first one, Valkyrie. Valkyrie was Valkyrie is one of the first human ships to be implemented, and overall, I feel like she's okay. Not not really ideal, but she'll get the job done. She can quickly like speed around and destroy the other monster ships, and then just speed out the gate. She's not she is overall all around, but I feel she's better as a PvE ship rather than a PvP ship. Do you want to talk about Gale?
I'll let you talk about Gail.
All right. Gale is a Gale's another human ship. She is very unique in that she uses a energy system. Instead of having consumables, you have an energy system to control how much HP your ship heals or how much damage output it does, and then its secondary or tertiary function. Of There is another ship that uses an energy system, but unfortunately, Gale is the worst of the two. It is not a very good ship overall, and I would not recommend playing Gale if you're able to play the other ship called Whirlwind. That being said, you might be forced to play Gale in order to get Whirlwind. In
I
that case, just focus on killing other monsters and getting out.
I do find the Gale to be good at doing as a PvE ship, and I do find it strong against the bigger ships, as in it's able to catch up and kind of slap them. But against the Whirlwind or kind of faster ships, it kind of suffers. That are able to get away from it. The bigger ships that are kind of slower, it's able to get closer to, and with its damage reduction module, like with the module, which means you take less damage whenever you have points into this one, it kind of makes it where it's able to tank more than it normally would. So I would find this to be fun for PvE and partial PvP, but it's definitely not the best, like you were saying.
Yep. I'm not too familiar on Hercules. Have you played it, Bo?
I remember Hercules, I call it Hercules from the previous event. Pretty much, it's a very sonic wave ship where you can have sonic waves that protect your ship and make it where if torpedoes go through the sonic wave, it pretty much makes the torpedoes delete. And if people hit the sonic waves at like a bow in or aft, they don't take that much damage. But if they're showing any bit of their broadside at all or their full broadside, they're going to take the full brunt of it, and it'll do a lot of damage.
Hmm.
So it's very good to
Her
counter against torpedo boats.
Hercules also has a special laser gun. It takes a while to charge up, but if you can hit someone with it, it does a lot of damage. Of course, it's not very good against larger ships, but it's perfectly fine against the slower moving player ships and most of the monsters.
Yeah, pretty much the laser isn't good against the faster, smaller ships, but against the larger, smaller ships or the Lobster Eye in particular, it would do really well against.
Alright. Next, let's talk about Fameblade. Fameblade is the first monster ship that we're going to talk about, and she is by far one of the fastest. In general, the monster ships are a little bit different since they have their own set of consumables, but importantly, they do not have. There is no way to change the modules, unlike the human ships, so they're stuck with one loadout.
Mm-hmm.
Well, What do you think of the Fameblade?
The Fangblade is a good hit and run ship where you're able to run up, do the torpedo strikes on each side and kind of run off. When you dive in this particular monster ship, you get plus 70% speed, which pretty much you go 90 knots underwater, which so you go about 130 knots. So you are a speeding bullet when you're underwater. But you cannot attack when you're underwater. You can only run. Pretty much you can only move around when you're underwater. But you can still be seen when you're underwater. So you can't just hide. Now, it has a covert repair where if you don't shoot or you aren't using anything, you're able to heal and hide at the same time. It's a covert heat repair. So if you're trying to heal and not be shot at, kind of just stop shooting your guns and kind of go dark for, and you're able to use this heal to pretty much help yourself heal off. But again, it's not the best heal, but as long as you play it stealthily correctly, you'll be able to do really good at doing hit and run tactics.
Mhm. You can hide up while you heal, and it seems that you can also stealth torpedo during this time. Personally, I think Fameblade is okay. As like she's very fast, but she doesn't have a lot of health, so you have to rely a lot on dodging shots in order to make it out.
Mm-hmm.
She'll probably have issues against the player ships, especially against the tankier ones, since her damage output isn't very good. But at least she is very maneuverable and fast, so she can quickly just farm up all of the PvE monsters and then either escape or use that to get a few buffs before you take on enemy ships. Bo. How about you discuss Whirlwind then?
So the Whirlwind has the same energy mechanism as the Gale does, where you put points into either the heal, the main armament fire, or the maximum speed. Of course, you can change that up with the different modules here. You can change it up, but I usually recommend using just the enhanced torpedo special module, which does the heal, the main armament firing rate, which is your torpedoes, and the maximum speed. This D is by far one of the strongest human ships in this mode. Its ability to go over 100 knots when you have the points to it and be able to launch super high accurate and deadly hitting torps. It's very, very strong, and since it's such a small target, it makes it very hard to be able to kill it, plus the fact it does have a regeneration heal when you put the points into it as well, which makes this DD one of the most recommended player ships in this mode.
Hmm. It's just good at everything. It can kill monsters relatively quickly, and it's also very effective against other players. So if you want, as far as effective ships are concerned, Whirlwind's among the best. Hector, Hector, I haven't played too much of it, but it's kind of similar to Hercules. You have the
Yep.
option of a wave gun, and you have the option of lasers. The lasers are pretty powerful, but if I remember correctly, they're only mounted forward. so you can only fire directly ahead of you.
Now the thing is that there are two different lasers on this ship, and the thing is that the medium laser can only be shot by aiming your hull. So you literally have to aim your ship to be able to hit the ship. So you pretty much have to aim your ship to be able to hit it. And the thing is about this laser weapon is the fact that it does a lot of damage, and it isn't like the one that takes a long time to charge. It does a continuous attack for 8-second action time. So it takes 8 seconds for the energy accumulation time, 8 seconds for it will do a continuous attack for 8 seconds, and its reload is 14 seconds. Now, if you see how much damage it does per second, it says 27,273. This thing will legit melt anything that is just sitting bow into it. You do not want to be in this ship's range at all. Like, you do not want to be within that 6.5 at all. Now, it does have a diving mechanic like the Fang Blade has the same diving mechanic where when it dives down, it goes faster. And it has the Scourging Zone where your healing is increased the more enemies that are around you. You can also change that around as well. Be more of like a team player with the team heal, or main armor firing makes it where you have a faster reload. Or stun an attack, it does the covert repair, kind of like the Fang Blade with the repair there, and also has a circular wave from the Hercules. They are the same company, so they kind of have the same modules and how they work. That's kind of how it goes. Like the Valkyrie and the Avenger are made by the same company. Gail and Whirlwind are made by the same company. Hercules and Hector are made by the same company. Like there's these different corporations. Like the Hector and Hercules are made by the Phobos Corporation. The Gail is made by the Felmbia Corporation, and the Avenger is made by the Ciatec Corporation. So all three of these corporations are fighting to kind of show their dominance in this zone. It's kind of like the lore of the Twilight Hunt, and the monsters are there kind of forced against their will. They were engineered, and now they're here. Pretty much forced to fight.
Compared to Whirlwind, I don't think Hector is quite as good, but she's a very good ship as well. You won't go wrong with her. And she'd probably be a nice, good change of pace from just playing Whirlwind over and over.
Yep. So the last human ship we'll go over is the Avenger. I haven't really been able to go over this one, so SAT score will have to give you a short description.
Avenger is pretty similar to Valkyrie. She's kind of supposed to be a jack-of-all-trades ship. I find like she's kind of mediocre to average, probably a little bit better than Valkyrie, but not by much. Her guns are pretty solid. Again, both of these ships are kind of well-rounded. I feel like they are generally a little bit better at PV fighting monsters than fighting other players. But Avenger does well in both roles. She has access to a mortar, which is kind of like firing USN guns. Very hard to hit, but if you master the ballistics, they will start wrecking people and monster ships alike.
Now, what do you think of the Thornridge?
Thornridge is the second of the monster ships. Compared to Fameblade and Lobster Eye, it's kind of in the middle. You have more It's kind of like a cruiser-ish. Supposed to have more HP, have a lot better firepower than the Fameblade, and a little bit slower. She has a unique module U-turn, which allows her to do a complete 180. So if you're going one direction, you'll just instantly snap back in reverse. Thornridge in theory sounds good, but I found that she's the weakest of the three. And that's because her protection is awful. For some reason, she takes massive citadel damage from everything that shoots at her.
Yeah,
Her firepower is solid, but her survivability is laughable. So I think she ends up being the worst of the three.
Yep.
What do you think, Bo?
I have to agree with you on this one. Now, every of the monsters have the acidic. It has the acidic discharge where when it hits, it will do acid corrosion over time when it hits a target, and it has a high potential to incapacitate modules as well. So every monster has the acidic discharge and torpedoes on the ships. The Thornridge has a total of 8, 4 on each side. Fangblade has pretty much 2, pretty much at the front of the ship. They're right here. And this one has 3 torpedoes on each side of the vessel. So it launches 3 from this side, 3 from this side. The Thornridge has just 3 torpedoes out of the front. And it also has the 4 acid, you can see them right here. The 4 acid spitters here, and the 4 over here. So, like, yes, in theory, the Thornridge, it seems like a good ship, but in actuality, it's not. And we would recommend you just get by this ship as quickly as possible. Now, the Lobster Eye, which is going to be a lot of people's favorites, is by far the biggest, and it's so big that even the camera messes up at trying to look at it. It has a total of 14 acid spitters, and it also has a total of 4 torpedoes. The torpedoes are launched, of course, from the front, and as you can see here, the acid spitters on the side. Now, the problem with these acid spitters is that they're so high up that if there's someone next to you, you can't aim down at them. They have to be a certain distance away. And the thing is that there is different levels of how strong the acid spitters are. So the strongest acid spitters are on, of course, the Lobster Eye. Second strongest on the Thornburg, and the smallest, of course, are on the Fangblade. These can do a lot of damage and a ton of Citadel damage if they get the right angle on a ship. And the torpedoes also pack a wallop as well. Now, it does have two here has a scrounging zone, so if there's the more enemy ships that are inside of the 5 kilometers, it gets extra heals from that. It also has a team defense. So it has pretty much if you have a teammate within 5 kilometers, it will reduce your damage by 75%. Now it does say here, it doesn't say the distance for it, but I have experienced that it is within the 5 kilometers. Have you experienced it any other way? Because as of right now, I'm looking at it, and it actually doesn't say a limit on the range. So it could just be a flat out 75% buff to your defenses without even having to worry about anything.
I don't see any difference in gain. I just activate it whenever it's you're in range of the heal. So it's hard. You'll have to take a look at more. You have to play a little bit more to see. But I don't think there's much of a difference.
Yeah, I don't think there's a range to it. Usually they would say a range, because it says the Universal Defense Zone. It would say 5 kilometers. Because it says, yeah, team defense. Reduce damage taken by your ship and all ally ships by 75%. So yeah, even if they're outside of that 5 kilometers, you get it, pretty much. Because they would show it. So pretty much if you're in a good communication with the person you are playing with, then yeah, you can definitely do really, really strong using this.
All right. To summarize, if you had to choose any 2 or 3 of the ships to take into Twilight Hunt, which one would you choose, Bo?
I'll take the Whirlwind, the Lobster Eye, and maybe the Hercules or the Gail. Those would be my pick. Maybe the Hector, maybe. The Hector, I think, is going to be a lot of fun, too.
Yep. I would go with Lobster Eye, Whirlwind, and Avenger. But I still think Hector is better than Avenger.
Mm-hmm.
Avenger's just a little bit easier to play.
Yep. But yep, that is it for the day. If you guys have any questions or concerns, definitely let us know. This is just a ship review, looking over the ships for the upcoming Twilight Hunt. We will be giving out tips and tricks on how to play the event and how to play and do our best to explain each ship whenever it comes up, whenever the patch is about to come out. So if you guys have any questions about that, that will definitely be posted in October, right around the patch date. Should be in the middle of the month, we'll see. But thank y'all for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later.